Welcome to episode 9 of Career Pro Tips by Life in the Green Room. Life in the Green Room is all about helping busy professionals who want more out of their career. We provide action-oriented, tool-based plans to help you move your career in the direction you want to go. And Career Pro Tips is our weekly video series where we dive into one particular thing that you can take action on right away. My name is Heather Green Micklin, and I'm the Vice President of Marketing at a Fortune 500 company. I've used these tips, I've had my team use them, I've seen my peer use them. I know with some intentional thought and planning, you can move your career in the direction that you want to go. So for today, we're going to dive into episode 9, which is, how do I make a decision? I need to make a decision. So the background on this tip for me goes all the way back to when I was in college. When I was in college, I was a student supervisor at a cafe on campus. Pretty standard stuff. We served chicken wraps and some other things to students as they were going by. I was closing one Friday night, and I was the only one there. I had one other person, and somebody needed to do something out of the ordinary. I think it was make a return. I can't remember the specifics. What I remember is I had no idea what to do, and so I did nothing. Whatever the issue was, I took the person's name and their phone number and I was like, I'll follow up with you next week. I have no idea what I'm supposed to do. And, over the weekend I was kind of thinking about it a little bit. And then Monday, between my classes, I had to stop by and talk to my manager. And I was like, this is what happened. I didn't know what to do. And he was like, well, what did you decide? And I was like, I didn't decide anything. I wanted to talk to you about it first. And he was like, Heather, make a decision that's well within your responsibilities as a student supervisor. And I remember really being impacted by that one small conversation. And I also remember being annoyed with myself that I didn't handle it Friday night. Now it's back to Monday, I get all my classes going on, and I have to go figure out how to take care of this person who wanted to do something basic. And from then on, I've really taken to heart trying to understand when I have the authority and the power to make a decision, and that I should make a decision so that I can move forward. And that's what I want to talk to you today about. I have 4 tips for you to think about whenever you're trying to make a decision. I'm going to talk to you about feeling empowered. I'm going to talk to you about setting boundaries. I'm going to talk to you about how to fix it when it goes wrong. And I'm going to talk to you about practicing. I think these 4 tips will really help you make decisions. So first, let's start with feeling empowered. You're in your role for a reason. You were supposed to be putting some thought and some input and value into the job. The blunt reality is, if your job required no thought and it was just on autopilot, it probably would have been automated by now or outsourced by now. And so you really do have the empowerment to make some decisions in your job. And so that's the first thing I want you to feel encouragement by, that you can make some choices. So the second thing I want to follow that up with is, maybe you need to set some boundaries. Maybe that helps you feel more confident. So if you want to get better at making decisions and you really want to understand some guidelines, make some up, jot some down, depending on your role. Is it a dollar amount? Is it the time frame? What are the things that make sense as boundaries? And then have a quick discussion with your boss saying, hey, when something comes across my desk and it's within these guide rails, I'm going to make the decision. Are you okay with that? And get their agreement on it and say, anytime it's outside of here, then we're going to have a dialogue so I make sure I know the right thing to do. So create some boundaries and review them quickly, and then you can kind of see where you can feel the most comfortable making some decisions. The third tip I want you to think about when making a decision is that just embrace the fact that sometimes you're going to have to fix it, and that's okay. Occasionally you'll make a wrong decision and you have to go work on it. Don't let that scare you off of making any decisions. How many times at work do you have to fix something else that someone else did? Occasionally you're going to have to fix something that you did, and that's just part of making a decision. The few times you have to go back and fix it because it ended up not being the right call are going to be worth all of the time you saved and the effort you saved when it was perfectly appropriate for you to make the decision and you made the right one. So just go in knowing, hey, occasionally I'm going to have to go back and fix a decision I made, and that's just part of the deal. Almost everything can be fixed. The fourth thing that I want you to think about is to practice. If this is something that is challenging for you, practice making decisions, and practice with something that's completely outside of work if that makes it easier. If making decisions is hard, sometimes this is a struggle for me, Give yourself a challenge. When you go to a restaurant that has a 15-page menu, try to pick your dinner in 5 minutes. Something like that. When you're processing your emails, try to open it and make a decision on the first time versus saying, I'm going to come back to this email later and make a decision. Find some simple ways that you can practice making a decision so it becomes easier. It is a muscle that with practice you can become better and faster at making the right decisions. So that's what I have for you this week on how to make a decision. I want you to feel empowered. I want you to figure out how to set some boundaries to help you. Go in knowing sometimes you're going to have to fix it, and that's okay, and I want you to practice. I really think that these 4 tips will help you if making decisions is an area that you think you could use some improvement on. I'd love to hear from you. What have you done to help yourself to become better at making decisions? Leave me a comment, send me a note here, or let me know any other topics you'd love to hear us cover in Career Pro Tips. So subscribe if you like getting these weekly updates. Until next week, here's to owning your career journey.